And you said you're 19.
Yeah,
All right. And what are your pronouns?
he.
Yeah, got it. All right. Thank you.
For sure.
Let's see. So, what do you want to
I mean,
say?
you want to debate? Yeah, you want to debate the trans stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the same topic as in the chat.
All right.
So,
That trans women are women. I agree.
yeah, yeah. You said your definition of woman is someone who identifies as a woman, but isn't this kind of circular? Like you're identifying as someone who identifies as on and on and on infinitely, because there is no other thing you're identifying as other
Mm-hmm.
than the word, the syllable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, sure. I just doesn't really bother me because my main reason, like, I don't really care if the definition is like weird or you're like, well, this is a bad definition. Like, maybe my main reason, like, my only concern is like, why should I refer to this person as a woman? That's all I'm really interested in. And the reasons why I think I should refer to them as a woman is because the cost of referring to them as a woman is extremely low. I think it's basically zero. And this isn't, and the other thing is, I can still refer to someone like as a woman, right, and like make their life better, and then still be like, oh, but maybe you shouldn't compete in like a sport. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but like you could maintain these two positions, right?
Right, with the topics thing above your webcam, right, on the stream, it
Yeah.
says trans women are women. What does
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
that mean then? Like, if you don't have a definition for what a woman
So
is, and you're simply saying like, I'm just
I
calling them that for the sake of it.
I actually do have a separate definition of woman. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So give me one sec. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
I thought I had it pulled up. Where did everything go? Where did everything go? Is it another tab? It's probably another. It's another tab.
I mean, I think the other problem is that like we're searching for a definition of a word that is like a very flexible word. Like if you ask
Yeah.
what is a man,
Yeah.
if you ask what is like a man, you could probably bring up like a whole bunch of characteristics that
Yeah.
you right if you wanted to.
And then it's like,
Um,
are those characteristics like sufficient or are they necessary?
yeah. Or
So
then the other question would be like, are they morally relevant? So if you just wanted
yeah.
to be like, well, a woman is XX, like maybe, but that just feels like we're excluding people. Then we're just causing harm to people for like basically no reason. And so it seems like you would just create, you'd either A, change the definition, or B, just create a definition of woman that has like two separate prongs. You'd have like cis women, which are the XX women, and then you'd have trans women, which are the etc. women.
Right, but what would that mean when you call them a woman? What are you communicating, right?
That
Because now it just seems they want to be called the word, and that's
Yeah.
it. And I could do the same with like a dog. I'm a
Yeah.
non-biological dog because I want to be called the word dog, and that's
uh
the new definition for dog. It's like
so
I'm
so not quite. So it's obviously going to be different because the gender that trans people feel still aligns with being a human, like their human feelings. Whereas like if they claim their dog, well, they do not share the mind of a dog or anything like that. So what
well,
they're feeling are still human categories.
I
I
would
mean, why are you taking this as like the ultimate category? I could say I'm identifying as a male dog. What I'm feeling is at least male. It's
yeah.
not, at least it's still, masculine and not feminine. I could like superimpose the gender or sex, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
above the species. How about like
Right.
race, for example?
Yeah. So
Like,
I
could
would
I identify
frankly
as black?
the question is what to like what extent does this cost me anything? So frankly,
Mm.
if you were like call me a dog, I'd call you a dog. I don't give a fuck. Like
Some
it
people are
doesn't
gonna
really
do
matter.
that.
Yeah, like it doesn't really matter to me. But then if you're like right, the question is then like how do I treat you? Like what's the behavior that I participate in after you've decided that you want me to call you a dog? Like if you want to like walk around naked on all fours, like no, you can't do that because this is going to have like a negative cost to society, like irrespective of whatever else you want to say. Like frankly, I just don't really care. Like semantic discussions are fine, but it's just like
Mm.
I think we can easily flip it back on you and just like keep deconstructing the word to mean like nothing. So then my
Yeah.
question is like, well, then what's the behavior associated with the word, or like what's the moral um, hangups involved with the word? Uh, and so it'd be like, yeah, if somebody wants to be called a woman and this has almost zero cost to me, then that's perfectly acceptable. I would include calling you a dog in that. Frankly, I don't really care. Um,
So for you,
like,
it's just like we're not disagreeing on like any metaphysical claim. You're simply just saying I don't care calling them this word, so I will. So, but you don't actually believe they are anything else than I do, right? You're just calling them something because it makes them happy, basically. But the other person in the call, he said like he actually does believe something other than just calling them a word for the fun of it.
Well, my definition of woman is basically like anyone who says they like feel like a woman. Like I'm content with making woman an individualized experience in the same way that like my happiness is not the same as your happiness, but we could both be feeling happiness. Like this person's feeling woman and this person's feeling woman, but like universalizing that into a super concrete definition, I think would be difficult. So then I just say
I mean,
like
that's
if you
just
would-
feminine, right? Then that's not woman. It's just feminine, isn't it? Like
I mean,
feminine
maybe.
attributes. Like
I mean, femininity and masculinity are also social things. But you know, we apply. I mean, same with man and woman. Like, so if you, for example, so do you agree there's a difference between gender and sex?
I mean, no, but when you guys use the word gender, you're basically just talking about masculinity and femininity, right? That's
Not technically, no.
Yeah.
You could like theoretically you could do a thing that is like outside of the paradigm that like neither masculine nor feminine. I could try to find an
So-
example if you want, but it would just mostly be like societally, like contextual in society.
Yeah. Yeah. So what might be considered more masculine in one society may not be as masculine as in another one.
yeah. Is that what you mean when you say gender? Or?
So gender is let's see, I got a Merriam-Webster basic definition. The behavioral, cultural, or psychological traits typically associated with one sex.
And
Typical.
that's just femininity and masculinity, right? Behavioral things associated with
Kind of.
sex.
I mean, there are like masculine women, so I don't know why it really matters.
So then masculine women have the feminine gender, according to that definition at least, because they have
Well, that's-
attributes typically associated with men.
That's why it's not just like femininity and masculinity, right?
Well, what else is it?
I mean, there's like the they them, like NB people.
Yeah.
There's the
It's
I
just
mean, like, other than femininity, what makes you a woman, according to this gender definition?
Oh, according to this gender definition, I mean, so all right, so let me give you the definition of a woman that I'm gonna use, which is an adult human whose gender identity aligns with their schema on the female sex. aka that would be more specifically a cis woman. A trans woman would be an adult human whose gender identity does not align with their schema on the female sex. So it's a psychosocial thing.
So what you're
I do
saying
have
is
receipts
just
if you want.
adult and feminine, right? That's the two things. Well, does it matter if they want to be? What if
It's-
their behavior doesn't align with their sex, but they don't like that it does? They wish it did align
So
with their sex. No.
it's not that they want or don't want, it's that they are, right? So it's not just like, oh, I want to be a woman or I want to be a man. This is how their brain functions, right? This is just who they are. This is how they are born. They don't want to necessarily be trans or anything like that. Even before they understand what transgender even means, they can still have feelings. Like we've seen it in as early, I think, as like 4 years old, that some children are like they would probably obviously not say, oh hey, I'm trans at 4 years old, right? But they will start showing signs in some cases. Obviously some can be much earlier, but it is generally a genetic or biological disposition.
So if there's a male, right, who's attracted to other men, yeah,
Yeah.
and he acts feminine and wears dresses, but he says he's a man still, he's a gay man.
Yeah.
Can I go up to him and say, no, you're a transgender woman because your attributes are stereotypically feminine?
No.
Thus, according to your definition, that makes him a trans woman, right? Because
No.
his attributes align with women.
No.
Wh-
Because he just wouldn't identify as a woman. Simple.
Right. So it's all about.
It's about their self identity. That's what it is. It's their internalized self identity. So it's not like
Right, but that's partially a decision, don't you think? Like they can
Um,
choose to identify as anything theoretically, right?
I mean, when it comes to this, it's not like they're trying to identify as something they're just straight up not, right? Because man and woman are simply social constructs. They're very flexible. They've always been very flexible. Like transgender people have been seen throughout history and stuff like that. That doesn't necessarily address your argument because I'm still trying to practice that. I don't have a lot of practice doing it over voice yet, so I
I mean,
apologize. But
that's by your definition, right? Like
yeah,
it's a social thing by that definition, but by
well,
another definition, it just
so
isn't.
So, well, I mean, regardless, gender and sex are definitely separated. That's just been widely known for a long time now. So if you disagree with that, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean that's a definition, right? That's not like a piece of
No,
knowledge about reality that you can obtain. It's a definition. If I wanted to, I could create a movement that separates the words, I don't know, species and kind or whatever.
sure,
Two
but
words that previously meant genetics. I can separate them into the genetic one and the social one, and now we can all be dogs according to our
I mean,
animal instead of our
I
species.
mean,
Whatever.
hey, you can try that if you believe in it. I don't think many people would follow you because I don't think you'd have much evidence to back it up. But
What evidence? It's a definition. I can make up a word for the social
sure,
attribute
sure,
associated
yeah.
with
Then you have to
dog.
prove. Then you would.
And
You can make up
prove what?
whatever definitions you want. But whether or not someone's going to follow those definitions is going to be based upon whether or not there's information to back up the word. Yeah, we could argue it's just words are words, right? We can argue that no word has meaning, but functionally in a society, we do have meanings to words. We do follow those meanings to words, and sometimes words change because that's just what language is.
Right, but there's nothing to back up it. It's not some scientific claim. It's like, for example,
Um,
do you agree that there's social behaviors, cultural things associated with certain animals?
that or what?
Like in China, the dog can. Not, let's not go that way. In certain countries, the dogs eat from the table. In other countries, the dogs eat from the ground on a bowl of dog food. Yeah, there's social things that differ by
Sure.
countries that are attributed to. Okay, great. So if I embody
Oh.
those things, right? I go eat from a bowl on the ground and I eat dog food as a human being. I am embodying stereotypically dog behaviors, right? So I could call myself a trans dog, right?
No.
And that would fit. Why not? I'm
No, because
embodying attributes that are dog-like instead of my natural
well,
species.
because dog is not a social category. Dog is just straight up a different animal.
I mean, that's because you say it is, right? I could say woman is
No,
not a
no,
social
I'm
category,
pretty.
it's
I
straight
mean,
up a different sex.
if
There
I
you
if
go.
I look up the definition of dog, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna get any examples
Yeah,
of a person
now it
saying.
is.
What do you mean
But
nowadays?
if we get enough people to agree that we're gonna make dog into a social category, and then we'll keep the canine, the more
What?
scientific sounding one, we'll make that the biological one. So
Well, this
canine is biological and dog is social. There you go.
this just sounds kind of like you might be able to explain it better, Squid, if you've been listening.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
that's
well,
what you guys did with
I mean
man and male, right?
the main problem
No.
with the social statements that you're making is basically just like the qualities of like feminine and masculine are just not like stable, and you can say, well, the
Yeah.
actions of a dog are not stable. But there's still like stability to the concept of a dog, like
Mhm.
That's
irrespective
the
of that.
biological concept of a dog, not the
Yes.
social attributes.
I mean,
Okay.
that's what we're saying.
There's
You
stability in
can't be a
male and
trans
female.
dog, right? Because it's an entirely different animal. That just doesn't make sense. It's a false equivalency to
Right,
man and
but
woman.
that's by the definition of dog that you're using, right? If we go back to the past, when people said man or male, they meant genetics for both of them.
Do you
But
know?
then movements happened and it changed that now you use man as social and male as biological words. I can
Do
do
you?
the same with dog and canine.
I mean, good luck with that. But do you know when? Do you know when that change was even done? When they officially separated them?
I mean, it's something that slowly happened, right? Like there was first a
No.
small group of people that believed in this separation, and then it spread, and it like slowly became more people that follow that within social movements.
Uh,
It's not like an explosion.
let me.
I mean, I don't think that matters.
Yeah, it doesn't
Like you can
matter.
look
First
at
of all,
dictionaries and then get like early
Right.
2000 dictionaries, and they
Right.
did
I mean,
not
that's
use
fine.
these terms like now.
That's fine. I mean, I would probably even concede, like, I'm an American. I would almost guarantee that, like, the 1950s definition of woman does not include trans women. I would be willing to bet that if you ask anybody, it does not include it.
No, you
Which-
don't even have to go that far back, man. You
right,
can go
but
to
you know,
the
it,
right,
2000s.
but you know
but
what
it
I
doesn't
mean.
matter.
Yeah, basically my point is
Okay.
that it's like irrelevant because
Yeah.
for me again, I'm like hanging my hat purely on like the moral aspect of it, where it's like, what's the reason for changing this word to include this new group of people? Well, the reasons behind it is that it has like almost zero cost. Like I would say basically zero cost. It has immense benefits to them, and then it has benefits to me because it makes conversations with them easier. And
Oh, I
increases the
understand
number, like,
your
I'm friends
opinion.
with.
You're just using like a utilitarian, like it's advantageous to use this because people won't beef with me, basically. I get that.
Yeah, and it
The
makes their
math
lives
problem
better.
is more
Hmm.
what it is. Like the thing is, I don't understand why. If you guys can grab the words man and male, a previous synonym, and
Mm.
split them into the biological and the social one. Why can't I grab canine and dog, which is now synonymous, and split them into a biological and social one, just
I
like
mean,
you did?
first of all, dog and canine are not synonymous. Dogs are
What's
a
the
type.
difference then?
Dog is a type of
Just-
canine, but it doesn't matter. Again,
Yeah, wolves and stuff. Okay, fair.
dog's just that type of canine, whereas a trans woman, type of woman, right? But dog and canine are biological definitions. That's why, and that's one reason we do have a separate definition for gender and sex, like throughout the world now. Even if people don't necessarily want to believe it, it's like much more
Throughout
commonly
the world.
understood that they are separated, right? So gender is a psychosocial construct, whereas male and female are the biological characteristics. Some we can change, such as phenotypical traits. So like, breast reduction surgery or bottom surgery, or and obviously much simpler things. And then there's also genotypic traits, which could be chromosomes, but the chromosome gene expression doesn't necessarily, it's not only like XX and XX for females and XY for males. It varies as well. There are, in fact, there was a woman who had XY chromosomes and gave birth to a child. So like,
Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you is these definitions changed and a word went from biological to social, right? If the same would happen to
kind of.
dog, or another word, there was a completely new word invented for someone who's socially a dog, right? Would you take that seriously? Would you like believe in that? Or
So, well,
I mean,
I mean,
I mean,
if
you
they
know, my-
make a
my
decent,
position is
yeah,
just, like,
it's like
whatever
that's just weird.
yeah,
It's
that's
just
fine. I don't
weird.
care.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't care if it's
why
weird at
is
all.
that
Yeah,
any
yeah.
different though? I don't get
Hold on,
that. Why is
hold
it
on.
any different?
I have your answer.
Go
Do
for it.
not worry. I will not flip and flounder on this one because my moral calculus is very clear. It's basically just like if you give me a situation where you're like, in order to maximize societal benefit, call this person a dog. Okay, I'll call him a dog. I don't really care. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, but you don't actually seem to believe it. Like you're just calling them that because it's easier for you. But I don't
Right.
think you
No,
genuinely
I do
think they're
believe
at all.
it. I do believe it because I'm changing the category
Okay,
to
okay.
include a new category, right? Like the topic of dog or whatever, or woman in this case. I've just made either like a new, right? I just branched it off into like two new topic or categories. So there's cis women,
Right.
which you would just say are like women born like within the sex that they identify as, and then you would just say trans women born not in the sex that they identify as.
100%.
And that'd
In
be
this
it.
case, you're quite literally just
Trish.
like allowing people to choose to be part of a word, and then they're just the ones that don't actually have the attributes of that word but want to be called it, and we include that into the definition. That's like a linguistic shuffle, essentially.
Okay.
I can be a table by that same trick, right?
Right,
A
the
table
question
is
would
either
just-
a table or someone who likes to be called a table. Well, there we go.
The question would be like, what's the harm to the person or to society? So someone's like, I'm a table, and they act like a table, which means they stand still and do nothing. this is probably just a mental illness because it's harmful to them, and so we should fix that. And so basically, like if somebody identified as a dog, and then like ate out of a food bowl and walked around naked and like caused havoc, we should not we should just reject their identity and try to fix it, and not create this new category. But if you want to define the category of person being a dog as inherently maximizing utility, sure, I would just probably reject that. Like it just probably doesn't maximize utility. Like I'm just perfectly content with being like, yeah, like you fit this definition, because like changing the definition is like a morally good thing to do. Like this doesn't really bother me very much.
Okay, but Matt Crum, you for example, right? You
Mhm.
seem to actually believe like some metaphysical claim about this, right? So like,
Well, I mean, Squid
what's the
said
difference
he
between
believes it
woman
as
or
well.
huh?
Squid says he believes in
Yeah, I
terms
do
of,
believe
like, human...
trans women are women, but
Yeah.
Well,
he's just
he believes in it in terms of he just redefines woman as the actual woman and the people who just want to be called the word, right? I can do the same with table. I can have a table and then a guy who wants
I mean,
to be called a table. And
is a table a
on-
human?
Well, if I redefine table to be table or anyone who wants to identify
I mean-
as a table, then yes, then you
I
can
mean,
have
you're
human table.
basically ultimately your argument just sounds like you're saying words have no meaning. So then, what does it matter? Like, where do we go from there? Words
I
don't have
think
meaning.
words have no meaning.
Well,
but
you
I'm
kind
not
of
the
think
one
they
who's
do.
adding those second like definitions, which are literally just a choice. I don't agree with that. I think
So
that's
you-
like a meaningless
Do you think
addition.
trans people choose to be trans?
Well, yeah, they choose to be called, but it's identifying. That's how you call it, right? They literally say,
So-
I
so-
identify as this and this.
like
yeah.
they
They
like
could
clearly
be
don't
silent
choose, like,
and not
Yeah,
say that.
they don't choose
Right.
it.
I mean, being trans
So
is
they're
like a
forced
very
to
negative
speak.
experience
They're
from what
like
I understand.
possessed. Their mouth is forcibly opened, and they speak without their own will. I identify as a woman with those words.
I mean,
Like
it
they're
would be
really
like
making a conscious decision to say that and choose that category.
Okay, so
No.
basically, sorry, just let me say this real quick.
yeah, go for
So
it.
basically, as I said before, these are born inherent traits within them. Once they realize what's going on, they'll probably realize that they're like, oh, I think I might be trans, right? At that moment, they didn't choose to be trans; they just
Okay,
realized
so
they are
you're
trans.
not just saying it's identifying. You are
It is
adding a requirement of those traits. I assume, right? Or can they not have any of
I mean,
those
is
traits?
it not a
you-
self-identification?
I mean, like,
I mean,
Regardless,
I'm
like-
asking you, yeah, like I don't agree
on.
with this whole concept at all. I'm asking you what you want those people to do to constitute as a woman, right? Is it just identification? Do they need
So-
attributes, right?
So basically, I mean, they themselves believe they are women, and as Squid said, it's like, where's the harm in denying that? But also,
Is that
hold on, I lost
everything?
my train of
Just
thought.
they
No.
believe they're women?
I mean, it's technically, yeah. Functionally,
Unless-
So
yes.
there's people
unless-
who believe
unless
that
they
they're
just choose
objects,
whether they're,
right?
like, lying
Some
or
people believe
something.
they're a
Yeah.
table, right? Those people exist.
That's a false
Why not affirm
equivalency.
that?
Let's please not go back to that. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, what's the difference then? Like,
I've already explained the difference a couple times. I just don't think you.
Oh yeah, you
said
said
it.
one is at least the same species, but that's
So
like
what-
an arbitrary like divide where you suddenly
So
say,
no,
oh,
because
one-
all right. For example, if you saw a male dog, would you call that dog a man?
well, no, because a man is a
human.
male,
Right?
Yeah.
Are
So-
trans people identifying as a man and woman and B? And
Repeat, man, woman, and bee, like a
NB,
Not-
non-binary.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know how it would equate, especially to a table, which I don't think can be male or female. I mean, I guess you could like carve a little penis on it if you wanted to, but
Well, the definition of man is adult, human, and male, right? Traditionally, if you can say that
Sure.
non-male
Male and man
can
is
be a
the
man,
same thing.
why not say that kids can be a man instead
Ma-
of a boy as well, or
ma-
that non-humans can be a man? Why can you change the male part but not the adult or the human part? I don't get that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how
Ma-
definitions are always made, is because people create meaning to definitions. People add new definitions to words all the time, so I don't see why this is an issue.
I'm asking you specifically why, if a little boy would say I'm an adult, you would say nah, that's
No
false.
problem.
But if a male says they're a man, or a
So,
female says they're a man, you say yeah, true.
a trans person, I mean, assuming they understand, uh, trans identity, like a male it cannot switch to a female. Those are the sex categories, whereas man and woman are
Yeah.
the social categories. So you can be a woman that is male, right? So they're not necessarily just trying to change their the base of their genetic code. They'll do things to change the features that the phenotypic features, such as a woman might have larger breasts. A man typically will have like a maybe facial hair and shit. And I say typically specifically. Um, so,
I
yeah.
understand that part, right? But that's the change definition already, right? So you look older than me, right? I would assume that I witnessed the change of this word, so you must have too, right? Logically. So you were born at a point where the definition of man included male as a requirement. Then a movement happened and they got rid of that, right?
I mean, that
And you
was
went along with that,
they
I assume, right? Or
they
you initially had to.
separated the terms like 150 years ago, I think. Like,
You know who?
Definitely not.
again,
Look,
it doesn't matter if it was 10
Yeah,
years
like
ago or
when you're
150
old,
years
who
you
ago.
know.
cares when they change the
Right.
definition? It's
Yeah.
totally
If you,
irrelevant.
okay, my point is you witnessed the change and you went along with that change. My
I
question
mean,
is why did you go along with this change? But if give you a proposition, let's get rid of the age requirement. A 2-year-old can be an adult man now.
because
Then you laugh and you
age
think,
is
ah,
a
ridiculous.
age is a physical phenomenon that we can directly observe because of the circumnavigation of the Earth around the sun.
You're not getting the question. I'm asking why would you not go along with changing that and not making it a physical thing, but making it a social thing?
Again, I don't think. Yeah,
Bro, just say it's because it's not good. You shouldn't have a 2-year-old being an adult.
yeah,
Just say it.
like yeah, that's just first of all that's just weird. Yeah, but
No,
like
don't
So
even-
your thing also is contingent upon like utility. You also think the reason why we allow this change but not other changes is simply because it's good in your opinion, right?
I mean,
it's a moral claim.
I mean, I think that's I mean, I think that first of all, I think that's a fine social claim. That's what Squid was talking about. Like, I don't see an issue with that. Like,
You also-
I'm just saying that we do have evidence to show that trans people do in fact exist.
Yeah,
Just
by your
because,
definition of woman,
just because.
trans
well, you
dogs
don't-
exist
you-
by my
so-
definition of dog, yeah.
So you say trans don't exist? Can you prove that?
By my
You
definition,
don't need to
that it's physically
No,
impossible.
I want him to prove that they don't exist.
Well, my definition of woman includes female, right? So
Okay, but maybe I don't want just your
male
definition at this
cannot be a
point.
woman. What?
Just saying a female woman is the same as saying a woman. Like it's the same.
No, they're different. They're different.
That
I know
doesn't
you-
sound
you-
like a logical
Squid.
position, man.
No, I don't. I mean, he's fine.
Bro just
You could
switched
say,
up
like,
teams,
it's
bro.
X, or you can say it's XX chromosomes, but then it's
Well, that also doesn't work,
yeah.
right? Give me a sec. Let me pull up my document.
So
and see.
what I'm asking is, do you think there's a factual reason why you don't like making age social, but you do like making gender a
I mean,
social
we
thing?
we do a lot of social things. Adult is a social thing, so we already do it. I don't.
What, can a 2-year-old be an adult?
No, because we have cultural and societal norms that we tend to follow, right? So,
It would be puberty, right? A biological process that
I mean,
makes you an adult.
puberty is a scientific process. That's probably around the time when we'll call them like maybe an adolescent, and then they
Yeah.
become a teenager. Those are adolescent, teenager, adult. Those are a child, baby. Those are all social categories.
How is that social though? Isn't it based on like biological development, like growth?
Well, I'm just saying the word. Well, adolescent might be
something
scientific
can
definition,
have
but yeah.
an
I mean, all words are
biological.
social in a way, I guess. But
Something can be
based
influenced
on
by
biology.
biology in part and then still
Yeah.
be societally defined. So like puberty can make you go through things and then make you develop new features that
You
were
said
like in the
societally defined.
Hold on.
Everything is societally
Wait,
defined.
let's good talk. Let's good talk.
So something can be like being an adult is like somewhat predicated on puberty, but then you have people who like don't have puberty, but then they get to the age of 20, right, for like hormone imbalance, and they're still an adult. Like the point of adulthood is like a demarcation.
It's a legal
of,
term.
like, or it's not even a legal term. It's like a demarcation that like you can participate in society in a certain way because of like
Coffee.
Like, granted, there
Going
are
on.
like biological factors, but to say those are like the end all be all of the whole discussion would just be like reductive.
It is a requirement, yeah. You need to be a certain stage of development to qualify as a baby and not an
a
adult.
certain age.
Actually,
Like
a
brain
lot of.
development.
I mean,
I'd be down to just say like brain development.
I mean, it's
I
not
mean,
really age,
people-
right? If I cryo froze a baby, it's still a baby.
quick
even though
question
it's
for you,
1,000
Tim.
years old.
Quick question. Do you think a zygote is a baby? Because a lot of pro-lifers will claim a zygote
Yeah.
is a baby.
I mean, that just depends how you define baby, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a baby is like a social category. Like a newborn, I think scientifically is called like a neonate, right? But we don't call them neonates unless it's in like scientific documentation.
My point is, we can agree that to be a baby requires a certain biological stage of development, right? And beyond that, you can
yeah, but it's-
qualify.
But baby is still more or less a social category, so it depends because different people are going to have different points where they consider a human organism like a baby. Like I don't consider it a baby until like 23 weeks, but that's my
just
personal.
like differing definitions. Like, can we agree on, even if we have a disagreement on the definition, both of us can agree it requires a biological stage of development, right? And that an adult person, 20-year-old, fully developed man cannot be a baby.
So I would just say that we can, so they can be determined based off different biological sections, but those are probably arbitrary because, as I said, depending on your culture, depending just who you are and your personal experiences, you might say a zygote, the single cell, the one cell that is formed after the gametes combine, is a baby, and like I don't call that a baby, but.
I know, differing definitions, but we can agree, even if we have differing definitions, that it is a biological thing and it does not extend beyond fucking 30 years old. We can agree on that, right?
I mean, sure. I mean, to be fair, we call adults children all the time too, so metaphorically, right? So
I mean, even in
words are words.
relationships, we call our significant other baby.
That's also true. So yeah, basically it's like it doesn't matter. Words are flexible, right?
Well, let's say you have these adult babies, right? These people who wear diapers at 30 years old.
Okay.
Would you call this an age identity where they align themselves with the social attributes stereotypically attributed to a certain age in your culture? Like,
so
that's the
maybe
same
not.
as transgenders, like completely.
So, what? Okay, so you're saying like if someone's 30-year-old and they claim they're a baby, then
Yeah, they wear diapers, they cry out loud, they live in a baby crib, right? They have the social attributes in Western cultures associated with the baby. Because in Africa and some tribes, that is different. The babies don't have a crib or this how do you call this thing where you suckle on the plastic thing? They don't have that shit. So it's culturally dependent as well.
Well, I actually do want to go into something real quick because, like, I do want to get back to it in a sec. But it's like there are also rituals in other cultures and societies that you're not an adult until you do some arbitrary ritual, right? Like for Judaism, they have the bar mitzvah, which at about 12, 13 years old, you have a big party, but without that party, you're still a child. So if you never have that party, you're still a child.
Right, but
culturally.
now you're talking about differing definitions again, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. So you're talking about should we call them a baby? No, because I mean I wouldn't.
It's role play.
Yeah.
It's not even
Right,
about
but-
identity. It's role playing.
Well, he's
it's
saying if it is what they
Well,
identify as.
like this is
I think it's a category error.
How
Let's say
though?
it's
Like
not role play.
one socially aligns themselves with a baby, the other socially aligns themselves with a woman. They carry attributes of that thing, and they willingly identify as that thing. What's the difference? I don't get like where the divide is, other than if you arbitrarily choose that there's a divided age, but not at sex or age or
Okay.
speed, whatever.
Because I mean, simply because, as I said, well, so age is specifically about age. Age is technically not even a biological thing necessarily. It's just rotations around the sun, right? That's how we determine
Now
age.
you're just making like a statement again. I'm saying, let me just.
Well, that's exactly
play
what
that
age
out here,
is.
right?
That's
No,
how we
you're wrong.
determine
Age is
age.
social. There you go. I'm gonna play as if I agree with this for the sake of the argument. No, age is social, just like gender.
is social.
Now what?
Hold on.
And I gain a large crowd who all agree, just like the LGBTQ
Fingers
movement. I gain a
existed.
large adult baby movement, and we all agree together.
Actually, you know what? Let's go into something then. Let me ask you a couple questions. What is a necessary condition for being a woman?
So you need to be a female, human, and adult.
A female, human, adult. Okay. And then I would just say, well, a trans man could be an adult human female, right? And that's how we determine trans people. So like basically I would just reject your definition, right?
How
Maybe I'm being disingenuous. Someone can let me know, but
how can a male be a female?
oh, a male can't be a female. A man,
Well,
they could be a man. Sorry if I misspoke. They can be a trans man and be female.
Well, I have a question. What's your criteria for being a female?
Also,
I just told you. Are you asking him? Or?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. If you want to finish, I apologize.
Did you ask me or Matt Crow?
Yeah, I'm asking you. You said women are adult
Human and
females.
human.
What's your criteria for females?
That is the criteria.
Is-
Female, adult, and human.
that's circular.
No,
What
what's
is a
your
female?
criteria for defining a
Well,
female?
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's you have a certain chromosomes, right? And those chromosomes that cause like your reproductive system, your bone structure, your entire body, right? It's a biological category.
Okay, what are your what chromosomes are you talking about?
Women have XX chromosomes.
That's not true. I mean, most do, but not all of them do.
I mean, you say that's not true by your definition.
All right,
of
hold
woman.
on. No, I'm actually just straight up saying it's not true. Like, if you want, I can give you the sources. I have a handful.
Okay, but those sources then need to disagree with the definition I gave you. Because
me a sec.
if the definition of woman is literally XX chromosomes, then
It's not.
that's necessary. Right, now you're just disagreeing with the definition you asked me to give.
Oh yeah, I have a different. Give me 1 sec.
Like that's okay, I guess.
Oh, the Discord isn't on stream anymore? Oh, whoops. Hold on. Oh, I know why. Because I
You're
minimized.
showing
There we go.
YouTube.
Sorry about that. But would you like me to send you a list of females that do not have XX chromosomes?
Well, I would just disagree that they're females then.
Oh, well, I actually have scientific studies backing this up, so... Do you want those?
You have like this issue where you don't understand like the difference between
Is it me that...
metaphysical claims, like scientific claims, and definitional claims. Like I could say that I define a horse like a cow, and this is the new definition for horse is what previously was a cow. You can't then give me a scientific study that shows that I'm wrong because it's a definition.
Well, I'm just saying that your
It's-
definition would probably not be accepted. Like, why?
Sure.
Why should we use your definition over mine?
Well,
For
this
example.
is essentially how most of the world defines that word. It's the vast
Most.
majority of people.
So that's an appeal to what, normality or something. So that doesn't.
We're trying to find criteria that applies to
Yeah.
all women.
Mhm.
Or
or
sorry,
to
all
all
females.
females. Yeah. If you say something's necessary, then it's necessary, and if there's an exception, then it's obviously not necessary.
Like you could then like further go into it and say, what is the criterion of having X chromosomes? Well, having two X chromosomes. What's the
All right, but will you admit that having two XX chromosomes doesn't necessarily make you a female? Will you concede on that?
definition? Like you have intersex,
What?
I guess, but
Yeah, intersex is a thing. Yeah,
are you
100%.
talking about that? Yeah. Well, that's like the story of like how many planks can you remove from the boat until it's not the same boat anymore, right? Like you can say the same about species. We have people with deformities. How many extra
Yeah.
chromosomes and deformities do you need to have until you're not human anymore, and until you're a new
It
human
almost
species?
it almost sounds like you're claiming that people with unusual chromosomes are not humans. That's like I
That's
know
the
that's not
question.
what you're
How
actually
many-
questioning.
How
Wait,
many,
are you
how
agree-
many genetic mutations do you need to have until you're a new species, right?
What?
Okay, you're it's like you're offended, right? I'll give another
Not
example.
really.
How many extra, like how many genes in a dog can I change until it's a cat, right? You have a range from cat to dog, and you have little steps in between. When does it transition, right? With changing out the genes in a lab or some shit.
I mean,
That's the
technically, it's
question.
when they can no longer produce viable offspring. That's when it
Yeah.
would be a new
Oh,
species.
there you go.
So a castrated dog is not a dog anymore?
No, it would just be a castrated dog. Well, you're asking what would be a new species. That's why like mules aren't actually considered a species, because it's like a donkey plus a horse. You get a mule and they can't breed,
It's
so
a
they're not
hybrid.
even considered a species.
Right, so if a human being has so many mutations that he requires someone else with those same exact mutations to reproduce, then it's not a human being by your standards, I guess.
That would be correct.
Okay, well, that's a definition you can have, I guess, but I don't think most people would say, you're not a human anymore because you have too many birth defects. I don't think
I mean,
most people would say.
the question's not like that doesn't stop me from maybe giving them like moral consideration. It's just like a category. Right? I just don't care. Like language is just a whatever. So I'll just be like, yeah, you are like categorically not a human anymore. Correct.
Okay, but the point is, right, that you have this gradual line of like abnormalities you can have, and intersex is one of them, right? You have people who have like 7 fingers, right? That doesn't mean
Okay.
that now the human species has 7 fingers or 1 finger or 2 fingers, a magical
Okay.
spectrum of fingers. That's just like a defect within
So it doesn't matter,
genetics.
is what I would ask.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter within biology.
So what are the so going back to what we were talking about, what are the necessary conditions of being a female, and do you concede that you do not require XX chromosomes to be female?
No, that's only if you have a different definition than me, I guess. I
No,
would say
no,
that
that's just
literally
that's just
X
biology.
is what it would mean.
That's just biology. I have the receipts if you want to see them.
I mean, now you're appealing to like some American biology.
Are you
association
kidding
that
me,
has a certain-
buddy?
That's crazy work.
Buddy.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
This is
like,
a consensus.
there's different. There's just different biologists that would say no, they're not women, right? They would say, oh, they have XX chromosomes.
So
they
are
may appear
all right.
like
So your current claim is that because this research is American, it's not viable.
No, I'm saying that you're appealing
That's
to
exactly
a
what you're
certain
saying.
definition, right? And you're
No, I'm
trying to
not. I'm talking
universal
about
stuff.
female and male. The
Why
scientific
should we appeal to
definition.
your definition?
Yeah.
Like, what evidence do you have to claim that's what a female is?
Well, again, what do you mean evidence? It's a definition. I can say that the definition of a
I thought we were
We're
talking about
asking-
biology, though.
is green.
We're
The
talking about
definition of
biology.
dog is green. No.
Remember,
Yeah, definitions in biology also don't have a like proof to anything.
Are
It's
you
just
kidding me?
interpretation
What?
papers. Yeah, definitions of words. If I change the word giraffe to
If-
cow, and
if
every
you-
time I say
if
you're
you-
not getting
Oh,
it. You're
wow.
not getting it.
Dude,
When I
if-
change the definition, just listen. If I change the definition
want
of
to.
giraffe to cow, right? And now every time I refer to a giraffe, I say the word cow. That's not biologically wrong. I'm just changing the syllable. That's it. You're just,
No, because we have specific
Easy.
biological
Oh my
factors that determine what a cow is.
Right, but I swap out those factors for the word.
Then you're
I
just being
change the
contrarian
name.
and stupid. Like, I know that's not really an argument, obviously, so I apologize, but like, I don't, dude. So animals are certain animals because at some point we gave them different words. Like, obviously, a cow is a cow in a different language. Like, I'm assuming you speak Dutch. So what's cow in Dutch?
Cool.
Cool. Oh, that's cute, actually. So like
my
again,
point
the
is,
whole
right?
thing, the whole thing is like you're just saying definitions don't matter. And it's like,
No,
well,
no, no.
in
No,
science,
that's not the point. The thing is, you have names, right? Syllables, and you attach requirements to those syllables. And then something that is that word is something that fits all of those requirements with a little check mark next to it, right? I can add as many requirements as I want, make the word whatever I want, and that doesn't need proof. What does need proof is, does this particular thing fit those attributes that we agreed upon? That's what needs proof, not which attributes go with which
And-
syllable.
and we're
That's
trying to,
just linguistic.
and then we're
Like,
trying to
different
ask you
languages
what,
disagree.
we're trying to ask you what attributes make up a female, and you don't know.
I gave you an answer. You
And
just don't like the answer.
No, I'm literally telling you, physically,
like our answer
biologically.
either.
Yeah, I actually have the receipts to
Yeah.
back this shit up. Like, you're just
I'm
denying
not
the
critiquing
evidence.
that either, right? I could say like I
Oh my
actually
God,
have to
dude.
critique the back up that gender isn't social, and then I'll give you a dictionary screenshot.
Go
of,
for
like,
it.
of 2000s
Gender is
dictionary.
100%
Look, it says
social.
here. I mean, again, that's the definition you're giving, right?
That's
That's
the
not like
definition. Oh my God.
some metaphysical claim or something. That's just a
Let me go.
definition. Like, you're basically just redefining woman as feminine.
I mean,
And there's-
again, it
in
doesn't.
your definition, it seems to just have two requirements: one, feminine, and two, you like being called a woman. That just seems.
All right,
the two
so
requirements.
then are there? So why should we accept your definition more than ours? Basically, is what we're trying to ask. Why should we care about what your
What is
definitions
your
are?
moral reasoning?
Also
Moral
that.
reasoning.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, your definition doesn't actually communicate any attributes, right? It's simply just they just want to be called this word.
Ah.
It doesn't actually
Oh,
say.
well, mine was
anything about-
different.
But yeah, whatever. I'm down to come back in.
I mean, with yours, like you keep going back and forward between
No, I don't.
feminine attributes and just purely self-identification.
I haven't.
I don't know which one it is.
No, I.
Do you believe in just pure self-identification is enough to be trans?
I mean, if that's how their social schema fits inside the brain, yeah. If they claim that, yeah, sure.
But
Like-
hold on. Stop. If
Yeah.
you have no understanding of somebody else's brain,
Yeah, of course,
I would assume.
yeah.
This is correct. Therefore, the way that this thought is going to act out in reality is that anyone who says they identify as trans, you will just assume that they are trans, correct?
Yep.
So anyone who identifies as trans, you will say is trans.
Yep.
Awesome.
Pretty much.
So the femininity of the person is irrelevant. All that matters is the identity.
Functionally, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the only requirement is simply a choice. Like, I like this word. That's it. I want to be called this word. So what's the utility in that? What are you communicating? Like, the whole point of words is to
Squ-
communicate certain attributes, right? When
Squid-
they call something
Communicating
a
their
ball,
identity.
saying, look, this is round.
Mhm.
It's saying nothing about them other
Is-
than they
is-
choose to be
Is
called
an
a syllable.
identity not an attribute?
No, not really. Like, the identity you're giving has no
Really?
definition, right?
I mean,
other than
What if I say I'm like Chrome is a happy person, right? Like that's just
who is Chrome?
the
I'm,
guy.
Mad Chrome. Oh, I
Um,
see him. Here. Okay.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Well,
What
that
if I just say
communicates
he's a happy
something about
person?
him, right? Like, happy means something. There's like fucking
Yeah.
little chemicals in your brain that
Ex-
make you feel happy.
Right. So there's little chemicals in the person's brain that make them feel like a woman.
Yep.
I mean, that would
Simple.
be called like that would mean that they see certain feminine attributes, right? But you just said that that's not a
I
requirement.
mean, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't.
they
like,
Unless you literally-
typically they might have feminine attributes, but not always.
Okay, so
I mean, it's just.
what's
Yeah, it
if there's a masculine trans woman, yeah?
Okay.
What does calling them a woman communicate, other than that their brain likes the word woman, the
Well-
syllable woman?
Well, I think you're
Yeah, you're
misinterpreting.
simplifying what it is.
You're doing a
They're
reductio.
experiencing an emotional state that they believe is like the state of being a man.
It's a woman, right? According to you, it was a trans
it's-
woman.
It's
But
female,
it's a
yeah.
masculine trans woman. So
A
what are
masculine
they
trans woman.
experiencing? Yeah, they're experiencing masculinity, right? They feel masculine. They
Okay.
don't feel
Yeah,
feminine.
I
and
mean,
there's a
okay,
lot of
there-
there's a lot of females that are also masculine. So
Right. So when you call the trans woman who is masculine a woman, what does that communicate? It
An
doesn't
emotional
communicate
state.
they're feminine.
that
Their
they're a
emotional
woman.
state.
Yeah.
Well, when we say masculine and feminine, that's gender expression, not gender
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
And what is
that's a
gender
good way.
itself then?
What?
Thing.
What is gender itself then?
Let me
Gender expression.
No, what is it itself without the expression next to it?
let me pull up my little thing again. Actually, I pulled up what might be a better definition. It is the American Psychological Association's definition of gender: the socially constructed roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that a given society considers appropriate for different genders. And
Yeah, so now you are disagreeing with the
How?
TH Coffee guy.
How?
Because he said that's gender expression, not gender. He said the masculinity and femininity
Oh.
is gender expression. So according to him, this
Yeah.
is not what gender is.
But
What?
whatever.
The guy just said that what you described right now is not gender, but gender expression. So he's
It's-
disagreeing.
I
with
think gender expression and gender.
this. Are the same thing, or
I don't know. I don't use gender expression.
I mean, gender
really.
expression is how you're expressing your internal
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
a
your internal emotions are like, I feel
Yeah.
like a woman, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
But I feel like like you could be a masculine woman, so you could just say
Yeah.
like, I feel like a woman, but I wish to express my womanhood in this way.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So it happens to be
Yeah,
masculine.
yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
but
That's
the
when you
express-
say
So gender
when
is
you
the
say
internal
you
part.
feel
The
like a
expression is
woman-
the external.
yeah. There you go.
when you say you feel like a woman, that's just observing that external shit, right?
No.
That's
It's
internal.
What is
Internal.
it then?
That's
What's
internal.
internal then? Like,
The brain. I mean, your mind.
Like
okay,
happiness.
but you can't like
Yeah.
look into your brain yourself with a magnifying
How you
glass. and, like,
perceive
say,
yourself.
Yeah. How do you perceive? Do you know what self-awareness is?
What are you self-aware of? What attributes?
I mean,
It's the same with saying like I'm happy or I'm angry. Like you're
Yeah.
just
It's like,
you're just
huh,
acknowledging an
I'm a
emotional
woman.
reality. If you wanted
Yeah.
to like divorce it like from the concept woman, it's like they have an extremely intense desire to like embody this thing, like
Hmm.
whatever.
So
it
that's
is.
what you mean with feeling like a woman, that you have a desire to embody a woman? That's what you're saying?
that basically what your internalized schema is. Yeah, you're like, huh. I think I might be a woman, basically,
Yeah.
and telling other people that would be the expression. It's like,
Right, but
guys, I think I
now
might
again,
actually
what
be a
you're
woman.
saying- what you're saying now is like a belief about yourself, right? This is not exclusive to women, right? You have a whole list of
What?
things that we
Are you-
actually
are you just-
classify as men.
Are you
Huh.
just denying what they feel? Like, so let's say it's just a feeling. Are you just gonna deny what they feel?
Well, I'm kind of confused what you even mean with that feeling, because feeling like a woman would seem either it's one of two things. You physically feel your genitals in your hand, or two, you feel certain
What the fuck?
stereotypical attributes, which would be like height or whatever, shyness or something like that. And
I
in
think-
that case, I don't see how that's internal emotion. That's just behavior, right?
What?
So you're saying that they are identifying with behavior, but what we're
Yeah.
saying is like no, not necessarily. Like you
Yeah.
can have an emotional
What else is there
state
then?
that does not inherently relate to this like to like an
You
external
know-
like the totality of like an
Oh,
external woman or
I have
something.
I have
What
a,
then?
I have a question. I have a question for Tim, if that's okay. Unless you
Uh-huh.
unless you want him to answer what you were just saying first.
I mean, he can answer it or not. I mean, frankly, look, my reasoning for doing it is the best. That's why I've had the least to say. Okay,
Yeah.
because I have a moral reason. There's like my moral
Yeah.
reason is that like they identify as this thing, and it makes life better for basically everyone involved to refer to them as this thing. Even if like the definition is like maybe you don't like it or it's weird, it's like it is a definition that results in like a superior world. So I really don't like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
It's basically
That
what
you're like,
it's-
oh well, my definition is limited to
I've-
this.
No, what
But
if
I
there are
do-
other than
What?
What if there are other than attributes to feel? When you say you feel like a woman, that sounds to me that you feel like you have certain attributes, like you're shy or you're small or you're weak
No,
or
it's. I guess it's hard to explain because it's just who
we're
you
just
are,
not
right?
Trans, basically.
Yeah. So, and this goes into my question, Tim. When did you choose to be a man?
whatever. I never grew up with this social definition in mind. So when I said I'm a man, I simply just mean I have a penis. That's quite literally my upbringing, I guess. So I never chose whatever you're talking about. Neither did
And
I choose
and neither did the trans people.
Well, they did. They chose to say to the outside world, I identify as blah 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 and blah.
Have
blah,
you ever
There's
told?
certain-
Have you? When I asked you what your pronouns were, and you said he, you gave me your gender identity to the world or the limited world
Well,
of the street.
that's how you're using it. When I use he, I just mean I have a penis. That's quite literally just.
That's weird.
It's
you
like
think that's the vast majority of the world. Is
No.
weird, then, I guess.
That's so like if I
Do you
say
think
he,
the
if I say
Chinese and-
if I say he
Yeah.
goes to the store and like penis goes to store or something, the person with the
Well,
penis
no,
goes to
it's
the
not
store.
applying yes, that's what it means. It means a male. A male is going to the store. A person with male
No.
reproductive organs. Yeah.
That's so weird. No one
I
thinks
mean-
about that when they say he, right? I don't.
I do.
So you just
I
think about
definitely
penises
do.
all the time when you're talking to
Well,
men, or
I don't envision it, but I think of a biological male. Just like how, like when I say the word female to you, are you thinking right now about a vagina stretch out above the point of view, or are you just thinking about the female sex?
I have no idea what you came back to, Fleeg.
yeah.
Okay, I
Like
say this
so
one,
we're
yeah?
so if I say
Okay,
she,
wait.
if I say she, I'm not gonna think vagina, right?
Okay, wait. Let me say this. Female. What are you thinking of after this word?
I mean, there's a lot of kind of weird qualifiers for female. I probably don't even understand all of them myself.
Yes.
But basically,
What image do you
but
have?
basically,
What image?
a female is
Like woman.
the sex that typically the sex that typically produces large gametes.
That's a definition. I mean, when
Yeah.
I say female, what image comes to your mind? Like, what do you see in your
I mean,
imagination?
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what comes
Okay,
to mind,
whatever
right?
you're seeing in your imagination when I can't keep saying female, that's what I see in my imagination when I say
That
she.
is an unfortunate way to live.
I mean, that's the vast majority of the world. Like,
No,
do you think
no, it's
Africans,
not.
Do you think Africans,
So
Middle Eastern
okay, so
people,
like
Chinese, do
so
you think
male
all-
and female people are gonna probably think of sex characteristics, but you're conflating it with saying he as in male. You're conflating that they're synonymous. So, but I'm not gonna say male goes to store, right? I'm gonna refer to you by your pronouns, the ones you've given to me out of respect, at least. And so it'd be weird if someone
Understand
was
that
like,
most languages don't even have that distinction, right? Male or man. In Dutch, for example, it's man. There you go. That's it. No difference. Male or man are literally no differentiation. There is no two words. That's most languages on the world, right?
I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, that it's a distinct English feature to have a word male and man. I know several languages, and German doesn't have that. French doesn't. Dutch doesn't. Spanish also doesn't. I'm pretty sure. It's like, yeah, Arabic doesn't. Chinese doesn't.
I know.
It's an English.
I mean, there are also. I mean, there are other Englishes besides, or other languages besides English that I'm pretty sure differentiate. Like, I believe Japan
Like
has
what?
something, but I would have to look into that. But what does it matter if the like? I mean, I'm sure languages still have.
You know why I'm telling you
Options.
this, right? It's
No.
to explain to you that most people around the world, in their native language and culture, when they say he or him or she or whatever, they don't think in their head about whatever the other
I'm-
person feels like in their head.
I'm
No, they think
pretty
genitals,
sure.
right?
I'm
They think
pretty
it's-
sure, like all developed nations that have different languages have references to trans people. It's just English, I guess. In this case, I haven't looked into other languages. English in this case just made it more accessible. Then, and I would just
Well,
ask
it's-
maybe
in
other
my
languages just make it more
language-
accessible, right?
Okay, when you say developed nations, right? I'm assuming you're talking about Western nations, I guess. And you don't
Western,
think the others are
Eastern.
developed?
I mean, the world, developed nations across the world have trans people. So like, and
Okay, so
they have words for it.
I'll tell you about my
sure.
language, right? In my language, the word transgender is literally a loan word from English. It's
Okay.
transgender. You literally say the
And-
word in Dutch accent.
And why does that matter?
Well, it's to show you that this isn't some like universal thing. Other languages are literally
That's
like
just
in
that's just an
Japanese,
appeal
they're
to
loaning from your language. They're
that's just-
literally loaning from your
What-
language
what
because
it-
you came up with it.
what is that fallacy? Appeal to population, something popularity, appeal to popularity.
Well, we're talking about popularity, like what most people say. So you can't say it's an appeal to popularity when the topic is popularity. Like that's
What?
not fallacious. Well, that's a topic, no? We're talking about what most people on Earth use language like.
Oh,
That's the
well, I mean,
topic.
then I would just say maybe they should use my version, and I've explained why they should use my version, I think, or at least I've given like examples why
Okay.
they should use my definitions, right? I'm just saying maybe my definition
you
is
think-
actually more defining of
utility of it?
reality, I guess. Oh, shoot.
Really?
At least in my opinion. Yeah. Sure. I mean, why would I why else would I prescribe a definition?
You think using a word for whatever someone feels like in their brain has more utility than using a word for what they actually are?
Oh,
in
no,
reality?
I'm talking about differentiating between sex and gender. Like, definition woman, a woman,
Right.
an adult human whose gender identity aligns with their schema on the female sex. Trans woman, adult human whose gender doesn't. Whose gender identity doesn't align with their schema on the female sex. I think those are
Right.
pretty solid definitions, right? I think those declare specific things. I think it's good that they would have specific meanings. I think it would be helpful to, I mean, we already use it in scientific research, more or less, though they use more specific, actually they get more specific in scientific research. Yeah, no, I just think these definitions work pretty well, and I have research to more or less back them up. So yeah, maybe I'm just saying that the rest of the
now
world
you're
should just
saying
use my
back
fucking
them up
definition.
again. Now you're saying back them up again, as if the definition even is something you can back up to begin with.
I mean, I would
don't
say so. Yeah, I can back
So,
up my own
Okay,
definitions.
so let me give an example. Giraffe. You say a giraffe is yellow and it's an animal, and I say no. Actually, giraffe is actually a synonym for chair. How are you gonna prove who's right? Other than looking what the majority of people agree.
I mean, I would
about
look up
giraffe.
I would probably look up what the. I mean, so I'm not a biologist, so I'd probably look into it. But there's probably a genome specific to giraffes. I would look that up and be like, hey, this is what they say is a giraffe.
Oh, okay, and then I say no. Actually, that has nothing to
Well,
do
then
with
you're
that.
just
That's
refuting
all.
science. You're just refuting it just to
No,
refute
you're
it,
not
right?
getting the point. It's a word. If I want to use the syllable j and raf for a chair, then that's as valid as using any other syllable for any other
No,
concept.
because you doing that serves no purpose. My definitions are trying to serve a purpose upon clarity, utility, and, just basically
Do you
helping the
think
world,
that the
right?
word giraffe- Do you think if you have a DNA test that the word giraffe is like spelled out in chromosomes inside of the giraffe or
I
something?
don't know why this one. I
Like,
don't
there's
know
no
why this
reason
actually
to
matters.
call it
You're
giraffe
ju-
instead of any other word, right?
You're
So you
missing
can-
what I'm saying, I think, here. I'm saying if
No.
we have different words for giraffes in different languages, but we all understand that if we see the tall yellow thing with the brown spots on it, that it's probably a giraffe because it's biologically a giraffe. And that's why I say gender. Gender is separate from sex because gender, your gender identity, or let me just pull up the definition of gender on the American Psychological Association website, who, kind of one of the forefronts of this in the world. The socially
Right,
constructed
that means
roles,
you're
behaviors, activities, and stuff. So they have a specific definition with backing, with scientific backing, that they are using to describe something. And the reason they are doing so is to provide clarification, uniformity, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think most languages have a term for gender, right? And they probably.
No, absolutely.
I mean,
In
most.
most languages, they have one word, and it's like sex, and that's it. They have no gender, and the languages that do have a word for it, loan it from English. Like we say, if you have this context.
Okay, so in German it's Geschlecht.
Yeah, that means sex. If you type in sex or
In
gender,
French, it's genre. Oh,
yeah, that means like category.
Category. Well, okay.
Yeah,
So then they
genre.
just have multiple definitions. What's the big deal?
No. In German, for example, it says Geschlecht, right? In Dutch, it's Geslacht, right? That just means sex. That's it.
Okay, and
they're
can
just
words
translating
have multiple
everything that-
definitions? Can words have multiple definitions?
Well, these languages don't use multiple definitions.
They probably
When you
do.
say-
I guarantee you that they do.
No. In Dutch, when you say Geslacht, it's sex. If you want to talk about this LGBTQ gender stuff, you literally loan from English and say gender. Literally, the English word with the Dutch.
That's great.
accent.
So the Dutch have a language word for gender. That's great.
That's not. That's literally just saying it in a different
And?
language. Right?
And
like
it's
saying
universally
that
accepted in your
English
language,
people
is it not?
English word.
You literally have
It's
gender in
bullshit.
your language. You just admitted that.
No.
It doesn't matter where it comes from. You have something to represent the word gender in your language.
Well, in that case, if you're using that logic, then every language shares every word because you can use any word from any other language as a word if you
Well, I
want.
mean, as language evolves, yeah, words typically just denote new meanings and stuff. And then there's also what are they called? Conjugates, which are, obviously, is it conjugate or it's the words that sound the same in different languages, basically. No, it's not conjugate. Is it conjugate?
My
I
point
can't
is,
remember.
it's not a Dutch word. It's not like a.
I don't care if it's a
word
Dutch word.
integrated, right? It's not like about the origin. It's quite literally seen as.
It doesn't matter what the origin is in this.
Okay, let me explain it. When
doesn't
you say
matter.
this word, people see it as stopping speaking Dutch, swapping to English, and swapping back. It's like gay.
And?
You say, gay.
Do you know the meaning behind it? Do you know the meaning behind it? Does everyone that mentions it, even if they know it's English, does everyone know the meaning behind it? Because that's what a
Well,
word
that's just
is.
because you speak English and no TikTok videos with gays on TikTok. That's why. It's not because it's a part of culture or a part of our language. It's because we speak your language. That's why we know the meaning.
I don't think you're getting it, man. Like, it doesn't matter where that word comes from. Now you're using it. Now the Dutch use it. Now the Dutch know what it means, right? They probably have a definition of gender or whatever, however you guys spell it in
That's
Dutch.
because we speak your language. Like I can learn Chinese and then I know the definitions of Chinese words. That doesn't mean that my language has those words.
All right,
It's
then
just
translate it.
language.
If you translate it, then
You
we have
can't
a.
translate it because it's not in our language. It's in your language. The only way we can say it
Guys.
is by speaking your language.
Guys, do we even continue this at this point?
By the way, a guy in chat said it
What?
is morally good to refer to them as their preferred
What'd you say,
gender.
Squid?
Oh no,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I'm just talking to people in chat now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's like I don't know, like I feel
Yeah,
like
there's the social side I'm just talking about.
I mean, yeah, there's a social side which is fine, but I just feel like
Yeah.
it's like I said, for me the question is
Or
just,
moral.
Like, is it
Yeah.
morally good to refer to them as this? Yes. I don't think
Why
Tim's
though?
really given any reason why it's like immoral to. Like there's just been arguing over definitions, and even if I
Yeah.
concede my definition is bad, that doesn't mean I suddenly agree with Tim. That just means I go and work on my definition
Yeah.
to make it clearer, because it's still the morally good thing is to refer to them as whatever. So
I mean, there's a difference with saying it's morally good and actually believing so. Like, you could say it's morally good to go up to someone who you think looks ugly as fuck and to say you're beautiful because it makes them happy. So it's morally good. But that doesn't actually mean that in the depth of my mind, I actually think they're good looking. I still think they're ugly. But right, but I'm just saying it for the sake of it. If Squid is doing that with the transgenders too, then I guess that I can't say anything about that. But he seems to actually believe in it. He's actually changing the definition in his head to align with it.
yeah, I am.
And what's wrong with that?
Well, that would be like me changing the definition of beautiful to align with ugly people so they're happy. Then that
I mean, why?
I-
So, okay, question: why would you change it?
well, because it makes them happy and it's morally good to make them happy and call them
Well, that's
beautiful
not
even though they're
reality.
not
So, why
good.
would you change it?
You're debunking your own point, right?
No.
Everything that you're saying right now aligns with the transgenders. It's the same thing.
What? No, it's really not. So you're
Well,
saying
reality
you're
is
saying you're
change the definition.
stop. You're saying that we can change words arbitrarily or arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Technically, yes, we can.
Okay.
However, right?
Uh-huh.
However, people typically have to have something backing up their change to these words to make them more acceptable, to make them understandable, to clarify things. We add definitions to words all the time, like the fucking word "woot" that was used fucking back in like the mid 2000s is in the fucking dictionary now. So like so basically there's no reason, like there is probably a reason that it was added, is because it has cultural significance. Woman and man, culturally significant and malleable. So if I'm saying I have these definitions and I'm saying why I have these definitions, it's to clarify things. It's to make people understand. It's to help, right? It's to help you understand as
Well, that's
well.
not what you've been saying the entire time, because that it doesn't make me understand. It's actually very confusing. Your argument before was that it's to appease
Is it
them
confusing,
because
or
they
do you
want-
just deny it?
Yeah, it's confusing.
Then I don't know what I can do to help you at this point.
But that's not the point, right? Before you were saying, and Squid was saying as well, that the reason you were going along with this is because it's socially significant that these people
Well,
enjoy being called this word.
And
that
well,
it
and I
makes them
think it's
happy.
I think it's also just straight up true. And you just
I
want to
mean,
reject
it's a
every.
definition. How can a definition be true or false?
So
Sam, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If it was the case that you accepted trans people
Uh-huh.
as being trans, and the result of that caused, because there's statistics showing how much self-harm trans people do to themselves based on the society they live in. If it was the case that accepting them would reduce suicide rate and self-harm rate, what would you say to that?
I mean, I would say that this is the same thing as you have people, right, who say that they're animals, and right now.
No. Let's stay on topic.
stay
Let's
on
stay on
topic.
topic.
Yeah.
Let me finish my point.
Yes or no?
Answer
do you think,
him.
Do you think you talked about utility, and if self-harm relates to this, would you say that for utilitarian purposes that we should reduce harm? Would you accept them as trans?
No.
No,
Let me
you wouldn't?
explain why, for example, right?
So
You
the
have
self-harm doesn't
people-
matter.
Bro, can I speak? You
Well,
have
no,
people-
I'm
you
talking
have
about the
people,
moral
right?
aspect of this.
Yeah.
And if you're talking
Okay,
about
do you
utility,
actually make you understand the point, or are you just gonna like have this questionnaire?
I mean,
like,
you're not understanding
you
my
just-
point. You literally just
I am.
deflected.
I didn't say anything yet. You just asked me a question and you keep interrupting my explanation.
Because you're not staying
It's
on
just a yes
topic.
or no. We don't. There's no need
Yeah.
to like add to it.
Okay, no.
Well, that's kind of fucked up.
No. A little
Okay.
bit, yeah.
There's people right now in an insanity asylum that we put there because they say that they're a dog and they're also harming themselves. They're in a fucking straitjacket trying
And
to
guess
bash
what?
their head
Guess
against the
what?
wall because they're batshit
Do-
insane. I could prevent
Do
them
you
from doing
think-
that by calling them a dog and role playing. I don't want to.
And do
Are
you
you
think
saying
we
that
shouldn't
trans people
help
are
them?
mentally insane?
Also, yeah, I,
I
think
mean,
it's
I would
mentally.
say that they're delusional, yeah.
Jesus
Do you think they
Christ.
should belong in insane asylums? Is that? I mean, that's what it's
The
kind of.
point is
You're
we should
conflating
treat them equally.
mental
Either-
patients.
The point is we should treat them equally. Either they're all outside and all not in an insane asylum, or they're all in the insane asylum.
Jesus
There should be-
Christ, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've
I'm
lost the nuance. Yeah, I'm done here.
I'm done.
Get out. Get out.
done. That was crazy. That was
Bruh.
fucking bonkers, dude. It was such a straightforward question.
Yeah, I really.
And-
Yeah, I honestly, I wish you just came in with that. Like, I didn't even think about it. But that's why I'm practicing this, right? I didn't expect to get on a dumb definition.
It was it appears to me.
Actually, I expected it, but him
Sure,
saying that
but it went way deeper than
brought
it
up
needed to.
utility, and
I don't know. He just ignored that utility. He's like, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Why
that's why. Yeah.
What do you mean? Why should there be a double standard? You're conflating the two. You're conflating that trans people are the same as someone that thinks they're a dog and they're running around barking. So no, I think you just have a problem differentiating things. Yee.
The debate's
Anyway,
over.
yeah, I know. I'm done. I'm done. That was my closing statement. We'll say.
Okay.
But anyway, so if anyone else would like to come up and debate any of the topics that are on the board, feel free. The call line's pretty much always open. Just go to the Discord link. At least we know it works now. Thank you.
Did you call me?